What up, nerds? My name is Leslie Smith, and welcome to The Nerdy Narrative. The Nerdy Narrative is a little channel I created in order to have a place to come and talk about all of the things that I read. Hopefully by doing so, that will help you find something you might be interested in picking up. On today's episode of Fun, I'm going to do something a little different. I've never done this before. I watch these on other channels. I want to talk about my top 10, what's the word for it? Anticipated. I want to talk about my top 10 most anticipated new releases coming out over the next few months. And going in order of release, first up is The Bone Shard Emperor by Andrea Stewart, which is the second book in the Drowning series. That one is set to drop on November 23rd of this year. And those of you that have been around the channel for a while, you might be thinking to yourself, have I seen Leslie read The Bone Shard Daughter? No, I haven't read it. I have it here, and I am going to read it, probably not before The Bone Shard Emperor drops, but so many of my friends that I share the same reading taste with love it. I know I'm going to love it. My next most anticipated read comes out on November 30th of this year, and that is Jade Legacy by Fonda. That is the third book in the Green Bone saga. I believe it's only going to be a trilogy. I could be wrong, but we're finally going to get Jade Legacy. Again, I have not read Jade City or Jade War. Several of my friends who know my reading taste say I'm going to love it. So I am very much looking forward into getting started on that series. It is high on my list of priorities for 2022. The next three books on my most anticipated new releases all come out in February of 2022. First up, we have House of Sky and Breath, which is the second book in Sarah J. Maas's Crescent City series. Again, I have not read the first one, but based off some of my other, what I call guilty pleasures, like the Grishaverse, I have been told I am going to adore this series, so I cannot wait. I'm going to make sure and read the first one in January, so I will be ready to get into this one as soon as it arrives on my doorstep. Next up, we have the fourth book in Charlaine Harris's Gunny Rose series. This is one of my favorite urban fantasy series. It's not the same type of urban fantasy as the Dresden Files is. It takes place in what feels like our past. It's very westerny. The main character is a female, and the way she's described, it's like she is a female gunslinger, which, as much as I love The Dark Tower, it was just no surprise that I absolutely adore the series. It is on the fluffier side, and the first book at least has a little bit of a romance involved, and I just absolutely love it. It's not for everybody. It's one I would say definitely get the first book from your library, or if it's on sale on Kindle, and try it out and make sure it's your speed. Again, this is the author of the Sookie Stackhouse books, so if you've read those or you've watched True Blood, you can kind of get an idea of the sort of content you might be in store for. And then the third book that is going to drop in February of next year is Gwendy's Final Task. That is the third and final book in the Gwendy's Button Box trilogy that is written by Richard Chesmar and Stephen King. Now, I've seen the cover. You can see the cover here. That looks like The Dark Tower. All of the buzz about this book says it has a Dark Tower tie-in with it. I am all in. I am all in for that. I am so excited. I have not read the first two books. Of course, I have plotted out my TBR in order to line it up with release. However, something interesting. The hardback of Gwendy's Final Task is being published in February. The paperback comes out in May. I'm gonna go the paperback route, so I'll be reading the trilogy leading up to May so that I time it for the third book. The books were already on my list to read anyway, but when I saw that third cover and all of the buzz about it being tied into The Dark Tower, it got moved right up to the top of the list. My next most anticipated new release comes out March 15th of 2022, and that is Memories Legion, which is the complete collection of short stories in the Expanse series. They're all available on Kindle, but previously they were only available on Kindle. This is the first time they're going to actually be in print. Found out about it earlier this year, and so I halted my reading of the series because I had stopped in order to read some short stories, and I just kept forgetting about them because they're on my Kindle. I am just one of those people that if I don't have the physical book, I'll forget about it. So once I heard that they were actually going to put it in print, I just halted my reading of the Expanse series and said I will just start over in 2022 once I get the collection of short stories, because I'm a completionist and I want to read them all in order that they're supposed to be in. So I cannot wait for that. I am so excited. I'm so thankful that they decided to put that in print. Okay, so next is probably, no, it is. It really is. The next book is my most anticipated release of 2022, and that is Don't Fear the Reaper by Stephen Graham Jones. Don't Fear the Reaper is the sequel to My Heart is a Chainsaw. Guys, as far as I know, or at least as far as what I've currently read by Stephen Graham Jones, he's never written a sequel to anything. It's just been standalones. I am so excited to see what he is going to do with the continuation of the main character story, Jay Daniels. I have currently read My Heart is a Chainsaw 2.5 times this year. I just love it. I love it so much. It is such a fantastic story. The title itself is just fantastic. There's no cover for it yet. I am so excited to see what the cover is going to look like. Our other summer release is Fury Song by Rosaria Munda, which is the third book in the Aurelian cycle. This is a YA fantasy that I just absolutely fell in love with when I read Flamefall. Is it Flamefall? What is that book called? Fireborn. This is a YA series. The first book was called Fireborn. I was halfway through Fireborn and just in love with the author's writing style. I loved the magic system. I loved how the people in the story thought they knew about dragons. They knew all about them, how the connection between dragons and dragon riders worked. And then the characters find out by accident that they don't know all there is to know, that there is more to learn, and we get to experience that with them. And then of course the political motivations. These people have already been through one revolution. There is another one possibly brewing, and I absolutely cannot wait to get my hands on a copy of Fury Song. I just realized I skipped over one that's coming out in May, and that is Seasonal Fears by Shauna Maguire, which is the second book in the Middle Game series. I loved Middle Game. Absolutely loved it. Almost any story you give me that have twins as the main character, I'm gonna love. And this one is just a great blend of science fiction, fantasy, and a little bit of horror. I can't wait to see what the second book is going to be about. I'm planning a reread of Middle Game, plus the 2 little children's books that are referenced in Middle Game. At the start of each chapter, there's a couple of lines from this children's story. And after Middle Game, Shauna Maguire published this book that all of these quotes came from. I haven't read it yet. I bought it, of course, as soon as it came out. I didn't even know there was a book 2 until Angela from Literature Science Alliance mentioned it when she was talking about Seasonal Fears coming out. So I've got that one on the way. So I'm definitely planning a reread leading up to Seasonal Fears. Cannot wait. And that brings us to the last book on my list of most anticipated new releases, which is book 4 in Mistborn Era 2 by Brandon Sanderson. I have not read this series yet, but all of my friends that I've talked to that have said that Era 2 is going to be right up my alley. Book 4 is currently set to publish in November, so of course I'm going to start my read of Era 1 and Era 2 to line it up so that when November hits, I will be ready to read book 4 when it drops. That will wrap up my 10 most anticipated new releases coming out in the next few months. Are any of these series that you've already read? Are you like me? You haven't read them, but you know you're gonna love them and you're gonna read them in time to be ready for the newest release? Let me know in the comments down below which one, if any of these, are you most looking forward to? Am I the only one that is rating Don't Fear the Reaper as #1 on their list? I am looking forward to seeing what you guys think. Thank you so much for watching today. Your support for me and the channel means so much. I am so grateful for you for taking the time to see what is going on in my little corner of the reading world. I hope your morning has started off wonderfully. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one.